Hello, and thank you for tuning in to my card tutorial today on my YouTube channel. My name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. I am featuring a card today that was one project from Stamp Club of August 2022. Each of the projects, and there are 3 of them, plus I did a bonus project this month. Each of the project videos are featured in its own video. So there are a total of 3 plus a bonus project, and you can find those. In fact, at the end of the video, I will put a link up here so that you can easily find the other Stamp Club projects. But we are on project number 3 from Stamp Club August 2022. Now I'm using the Cup of Tea stamp set, and we're only using a couple of stamps from it, but more importantly maybe than that, we are using the coordinating paper called Tea Boutique, and it's pictured here. It is a pack of 6x6 papers, and they really are beautiful. I've used them quite a bit, but I'm using them in a different way today on our card. And what I did is I had seen one project that was featured on a different channel, and then I also saw the actual card here in the catalog. So the card that I'm making is kind of cased off of both of those, a little of this and a little of that. But it's a great way if you're ever stumped on what to sit down and create, like you're in the mood but you don't know what to make, is thumb through the catalog, use that as your inspiration resource, and just case maybe something you see. If you don't have exactly the same items, you can usually switch them out with something that you do have. So let's get started. All right, for this card, I have a card base made out of Parakeet Party, and this measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So this is going to be a tall card that opens here at the top. All right, and it is scored at 5 1/2 to give us our crease and our fold. So that's the card base. Then I have a piece of Parakeet Party that measures 3 3/8 by 5 inches. So we're going to need that for our card front as well. I have a piece of basic white that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is going to be for the inside panel. And then our piece of designer series paper from Tea Boutique. This is 2 inches by 3 3/4, like so. All right, and this particular pattern and colors looks really good with our Parakeet Party. So let's get started. This goes together quite easily. The first thing I'm going to do is stamp on this inside panel of the card. I'm going to use Parakeet Party ink and these flowers. Now, if you're stamping along with me today and you have a Stamp Club packet, then you've got the parts and you'll need to grab some stamps. Any floral stamps, small, kind of small-ish flowers will work for this. And then you'll also need a small-ish greeting. I'm using Cup of Tea, so if you have that stamp set, then you'll have the flowers and the thank you and also this little single flower. If you don't have this stamp set, just grab something similar with a greeting about this size and maybe some small-ish flowers, and you can still put this card together in a breeze. I also didn't mention that I've got a piece of in color twine, and this measures probably about 16, 17 inches. We're going to be wrapping it around the card, so it's kind of a long piece, but I wanted it to be easy for you to wrap around and tie your bow. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is stick a piece of scratch paper under the corner of my cardstock here, because I'm going to stamp my Parakeet Party flowers so that they hang off the edge. I'm just going to put a little sprinkling of them down here in the corner like that. That's it. All right, and then this can go on the inside of the card base. So I've got my liquid glue to do that. Open up my card base, and this is going to go on the inside like so. You've got a lot of white space there to add your message. And if you wanted to, you could also add some green flowers up here. That would be really pretty too. So if you haven't already glued it in and you want some flowers at the top, you can do that. All right, now I'm going to take this 3 3/8 by 5 inch piece. Let me show you where the designer series paper is going to go. We're not going to quite attach it yet, but it's going to go just a little bit lower than center. All right, so it's going to land, it's a little low, right about there. All right, and in fact, only because, see, this always so handy, either a piece of grid paper or I've got my grid mat here. Is super helpful because I'm going to use these lines to make sure that my designer series paper is going to go on straight. All right, so all I'm doing is getting an idea where this is going to go, and then I'm going to take a pencil and very lightly just make a mark above and below the designer series paper, and then you can set that aside. What that does now is gives me an idea, because what I want is I want some of these green flowers to be spilling out above and below where this paper is going to be. So anything stamped under this line is not going to show, which is fine because I want some that are close to the line. Oh, good heavens, I totally just rocked that. Let's flip it. We're just going to flip it. It happens, right? This is going to go right about there. Get my pencil mark. See, now does that make you feel better if you made a mistake? You can see it happens to us all. Okay, let's clean this up and see if I can be a little bit more careful. Yeah, I just rushed right into it and I completely dropped the whole stamp on the ink pad. It had ink everywhere. All right, so as I was saying, some of these flowers are going to be below the pencil line, which is just fine. These aren't going to show, only the ones above the line, but it's giving me an idea where to stamp. I'm kind of going off the edges, so I might want to bring this back in. Put a few more over there. And I think, let's see, without a lot of effort, I think I want to see if I can get a couple over here. Yeah, why not? All right, and then I'm going to ink up the same stamp. Now, if you're just using a different stamp that has flowers and it's not in a row, just repeat stamp a bunch of little flowers, mostly above that line. If they're below, they're not going to show anyway, but that'll give you an idea kind of how high to go. I think I need a couple more up here too. Okay, then I'm going to take the stamp and flip it because I want them going down, and same thing. Only the flowers that are below the line are going to actually show, but it gives me an idea where to stamp. And I think I want fewer on the bottom. I like that the top is fuller and the bottom has fewer. Let's take a peek. Okay, now we can get an idea how it's going to look. It does need a teeny bit more though. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ink my stamp and I'm going to clean part of it off. I do not want any of these little ones on the sides. I just want those two larger flowers. Do you see that? Okay, so now I'm going to stamp them over, where's my line? There we go. Over here in this space. See, I only got those two. Okay, now I can take my paper. This is going to go right back into place according to the little pencil marks that I made. So we've got that tone on tone stamping, which is very attractive. And I like the look of the flowers spilling off the page. All right, let me move this out of the way because I'm getting a weird look. Okay. If your pencil mark shows, you can just take an eraser and attack it. Okay, so I've erased that pencil mark. This one isn't showing, so that It's fine. All right, there we have that. Now we're going to take our twine and actually tie it right around this piece. So take your twine. If you have any of those reverse, or they're also called cross lock tweezers, you might want to grab those. They could be helpful here in a moment, because what I'm going to do, see, I'm going to get the first part of my bow tied like so. Then I'm going to take my tweezers, which are supposed to be right here within reach. Here they are. Okay, now these are not Stampin' Up! Tweezers, and I'm super happy to remind you that in the July to December catalog, there is an accessory set for embossing, and it includes an embossing tray, the embossing buddy, which is super helpful because we haven't had that available for purchase in a while. And it also has some nifty little scissors like this and a little brush. So if you don't have these already in your craft tools, you can get that little set and it'll include the tweezers. So I'm just holding that as if I had a friend here that was holding their finger down on the knot for me while I tie my bow. It's just tricky. The twine is so tiny. Plus I'm trying to do it on camera. All right, so I've made my bow, and now I can carefully remove my tweezers. So yes, I'm hoping to get those Stampin' Up! Ones because I'm sure they're better. These are old and they don't grip very well anymore. So now I'm going to take my bow and just slide it down a little bit. Okay, we can trim these edges off, but let's not do that yet. Right now I'm going to flip it over. There was the boo-boo side. And I'm going to grab my dimensionals, and I'm going to stick one right smack on top of my twine. You've seen me do this before with tear and tape, how you're actually going to use it to attach it to another piece, but in the meantime it can often hold a ribbon or a piece of twine in place, kind of pulling double duty. All right, so I've got dimensionals on my corners. I've got that one holding my twine, and then I think just to balance that out, I'm going to put one here so that my middle is covered. All right, this piece is going to get mounted onto our card base. I love the look of the Parakeet Party layer on top of the Parakeet Party. Isn't that pretty? At the end of today's video, I'll also show you the same card done in some of the other in-color color schemes. All right, so I'm pressing those dimensionals into place. It's also holding my ribbon in place, so it's not going to go anywhere, or my twine bow. And now let's do our words. So what I have is a scrap of white and our rectangle postage stamp punch. So I'm just going to punch one of those out. And then we need some ink. So I have Parakeet Party out, and I'm also going to bring in Sweet Sorbet. If you're stamping with me at home, look for something in your collection. If you don't have the in colors, then a different red will be fine because there's such tiny bit of red. So if you want to use a real red or Poppy Parade, that will probably be fine. And if you don't have Parakeet Party, I think you could get away with Granny Apple Green for this part, all right? So you're gonna have your little postage stamp shape. We're going to stamp thank you, or whatever words you chose if you don't have the cup of tea stamp set. But this is gonna go right up here at the top of my punched tag. And then I want one little red flower. And you can decide on the placement of your flower. I'm going to put this one kind of over to the right, and I'm leaving room down here for an embellishment. It also looks really good if you want the flower in the corner. You can switch the flower and the embellishment. Okay, let's put some dimensionals on the back of here. 2 will work just fine. So one at the top and one at the bottom. And then this is also going to straddle my twine here and also help secure it. It doesn't really need it, but it's certainly not going to hurt. Okay, and then the placement of this, you can decide if you like it nice and even over your designer series paper, or if you like it, I like mine a little bit higher. So my dimensional is going to fall just below that piece of twine, and my postage stamp sticks up a little bit from the edge of the designer paper. I like that look. You can put your placement however you think it looks the best. Okay, now that that's in place, let's go ahead and trim the tails of the twine like so. And we just need a little embellishment, and what I chose for this are the matte decorative dots, and these are in our in colors. Let me move these ink pads before something ends up in them. So I'm going to reach in here and get, gosh, you could go with pretty much any color on here and it would look good. I'm going to go ahead and just use a green one. These are kind of like an ombre. If you see, they go from light to dark of that particular shade, but this is supposed to represent Sweet Sorbet, Tahitian Tide, Parakeet Party, Orchid Oasis, and Starry Sky. I feel like those are opposite though. Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis. There we go. So I'm going to use the green one and just pop it up right here in the corner. It's just enough, little droplet of color. And there we have it. Now, was that not so easy? And look at how adorable and bright, cheerful, and happy that card is. All right, let me show you one in Tahitian Tide. Now this is with a different paper, but from the same paper packet. So this is also from Boutique. Okay, and there it is in the Tahitian Tide. And it looks really pretty in the Sweet Sorbet also. So there's the Sweet Sorbet. It's a really fun purchase to get the packet of twine in the in colors, because you get each of the 5 colors of twine. And there we have it. That is our card of the day. Thank you for watching my tutorial. If you enjoyed it, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up. And if you want to leave a comment, that's wonderful as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel before, please do so and be sure and ring the bell. That way you'll get a notification every time I put a new tutorial or a new video up. And in the bottom down here in the description of this video, I will put a list of the products that we used today, host code, and other things like that. Remember, today, or this card was Project 3 from August Stamp Club 2022, so be sure and look for the other project videos as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.